All right, starting my timer now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the FINOS All Hands Community Call for Q1 of 2024. For those who have not met me yet, my name is Karl Moll, and I'm the newly joined Technical Project Advocate here at FINOS. We'll have more of a chance for an introduction in a little bit, but in the meantime, I would like to assure everyone that I'll be doing my best to fill James's shoes in helping facilitate the community calls. The first step in preparing for today's call was letting my beard grow out a little bit longer than I initially planned, so the community would sense a sense of continuity. And I butchered my own joke, but my notes say to pause for laughter.
That is so good.
I recently wrote a blog post looking back at my first 60 days at FINOS, going deep on projects while seeing the broader community goals and the strategic initiatives, which we will talk about today. So far in my role, I've been sitting in regularly on half a dozen project calls, and I've been doing deep dives on several projects to help build supporting advocacy materials. I'm looking forward to helping you all advocate, helping articulate the value add of your projects to different audiences, assisting with proposals or requests for resources, facilitating project brainstorming sessions, or helping with technical recruitment efforts. I look forward to working with you all over time to find out the needs of your projects and figuring out the plan of how I can assist in their growth and success. As the title slide here suggests, this is a year full of incredible opportunities for FINOS. I've worked in DevRel, open source project management, and ecosystem development for the last 5 years. And coming to the FINOS community, I've been extremely impressed with the level of community engagement, the buy-in of member organizations, the level of interest in our work outside of the community, and how self-maintaining so many of the projects are. And building off this groundwork, already established by the incredible work of the FINOS team and community, with a special nod to James again, we're coming into one of the most exciting technical landscapes I've seen in my lifetime. Of course, there are the obvious topics of AI, which we will get into in depth on today's call, but also the ever-increasing adoption of open source and financial services, the evolution of cross-industry standards in the use of cloud, a move away from the history of siloed applications with a greater focus on interoperability, the development of an open ecosystem for compliance with regulations in highly regulated industry, and the continued excitement and commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion. A big topic of today's call will be the upcoming OSFF event. I won't get ahead of the team on their announcements, but I am looking forward to working with projects to help find new ways to show off to a wider audience, as well as get a chance to network with all of you and find ways to brainstorm future collaborations in person. There will be a little bit of a focus on this call, my first community call and the first call of the year, on keeping a really tight time schedule. So I will introduce each section with a quick reminder of the time allotted at the beginning of each topic, and we'll be offering gentle but audible reminders to presenters if it sounds like they aren't wrapping up as we approach the end of their time. We really want to make sure that the focus of community calls on being a community conversation as much as possible going forward. So we want to aggressively keep the agenda and allow time for Q&A at the end. We might explore on-screen countdown clocks or buzzers going forward if we are not able to get this going today. And looking at my clock, it's time to go forward to the agenda if we have not already moved there on screen. So we'll have a brief introduction on celebrations from Gab, followed by an announcement about OSFF for Niamh, followed by an overview from various speakers on the FINOS strategic initiatives, wrapping up with final announcements and hopefully leaving lots of time for Q&A at the end. And as a reminder for everyone, this event and all FINOS events adhere to the FINOS Linux Foundation Code of Conduct. And with that, handing over the floor to Gab for our celebrations.
Thank you, Karl. I thoroughly enjoyed this introduction, and I gotta say I'm a little scared about timing, given I am probably the best known offender in the community in terms of breaking a lot of times. But without further ado, and I actually see James is on the call, I love similarities in beard, but very different styles. So great to see our community evolving. So I want to start with, we're a little bit late into the year to have our community call, but there has been, as you'll see throughout the deck, a lot of planning and real engagement of our stakeholders, both at board level and community level. But before we jump into it, I want to quickly celebrate a couple of new things that happened this year and a couple of things that happened late last year. First of all, I think Karl did a great self-introduction, and so I won't spend too much time on it, but we're very excited to have Karl here, especially based in New York, a critical hub for our community, and we very much look forward to have more participation from the community in that area, and of course beyond that, as you hear throughout the presentation. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Again, please join me in welcoming Karl. I have to say that it's the second person that joins us from a previous work job at Symphony. So I want to once again thank our very close relationship with the Symphony team here. Great hires. Moving on. I want to also welcome Ashley Tercillo to our team, who's a new marketing intern. We're very excited as our engagement engine and marketing engine continues to grow. We're very excited to have a new member of the team that is going to really help increase the visibility of our projects and the standard to which we really present the business value of our projects to the different areas of the industry that we impact on. So please join me in welcoming Ashley to the team. So a quick celebration, and granted, Karl didn't tell me how long I have for this section, so I'm going to be quick by default.
30 seconds.
2 minutes left? Okay, better move on. Last year, we actually added a record number of members to the foundation, 16. And as you see in the next slide, we actually have a few more that have joined us since the beginning of the year, which are nicely marked. I love that from Kris, that is creating a little bit of buzz here in terms of the new members that we'll be announcing very soon in the next 1 or 2 weeks. I think that's particularly important to stress that despite, as we all know, a pretty lukewarm, to say the least, economic climate last year, we continue to see investment in open source. I've seen that in the previous talks. Open source tends to be counter-cyclical in the sense that the more sort of pressure to deliver with smaller budgets, the more organizations ought to be looking at open source as a way to mutualize pre-competitive activities and pre-competitive, really non-differentiating software standards. And so we're not surprised to see that as our community grows and we continue to show business value to the organizations that participate across the value chain, buy side, sell side, payments providers, cloud service providers, associate members, regulators, our community and support continues to grow. And so I want to thank our almost 80 members out there. I'm not going to go into every metric or highlight from last year because of the time primarily, but this deck will be shared. I just want to call out that it's not only about the membership, of course, but we've had a pretty strong contributor growth with 64% again year on year. This is a constant trend that we keep over the last 3 years. We've passed 2,400 unique contributors. We're seeing on the adoption side a drastic growth in downloads in some of our key projects like FTC3 and Perspective. Again, it's not a end-all be-all type measure, but it's really good trend indicator of the value of our projects. And last but not least, we've had over 1,000 training and release. For those of you who don't know, we have launched a training and a certification around open source readiness and FTC3, again, based on the experience of all of our members who have undergone the open source journey, they're now ready to be contributors. I want to, without going into, there's been hackathons, there's been integrations, there's been, as I said, training. We launched our TOC last year. You can take a look at this slide once we share the material, but I want to say something about OSFF, if we can go to the next slide.
And 1:15.
Perfect. I think I'm doing a decent job, actually. Thank you, Karl. What I want to call out here is actually 2 aspects that we've never seen before. You've probably heard us saying that this was the largest OSFF, Open Source in Finance Forum to date. And that in and of itself makes us absolutely proud of what this community has accomplished. But watching this slide, which is a selection of some of the best pictures of the over 800 people that joined us, over 1,000 registrants that joined us in New York in November, it's really two things that I want to call out. One, we have in every picture here a board member of FINOS represented and on stage, or a senior executive and one of our platinum members, or actually members at large. This, whilst we are absolutely thankful to our board members since the beginning for supporting the growth of our foundation, this has been the first time that we've seen such a massive showing, again, across all areas of the business. In the very center of that picture, you'll see two business representatives from Wellington and Morgan Stanley talking about how through FDC3 they've achieved direct connectivity on FX trading. This is, I think, a great testament to the fact that it's not just about technology, it's truly about what open source and open collaboration and our open standards are enabling in terms of better business across the whole value chain of financial services. If you go to the next slide, just want to call out another.
And we're about 30 seconds over.
Perfect. Just to wrap, this is a community that has been not historically very forthcoming in sharing on social, in amplifying our message. We have seen an increase in activity after OSFF, which has been amazing. And you'll hear this recurring throughout the presentation. This helps our growth, fuels our growth immensely. But it's also, I think, a testament to the fact that there is a huge attachment to what we are doing as a community. And so I want to thank everyone that joined us, and please continue to amplify if you like what you're seeing in FINOS. It truly helps to have you as advocate for our foundation and our community. And I'm done with that. Off to Niamh.
Thanks, Gav. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Niamh Parker. I'm the marketing manager here at FINOS, and I'm really excited to share with you the upcoming news on our Open Source and Finance Forums, or OSFFs, this year. So firstly, to echo Gav, 2023 last year was a great year. We had a member meeting. We also had our open house event in London and a full event at OSFF in New York. So this year, we're expanding to 2 OSFFs, one in London on June 26th, and a day-and-a-half conference in New York on September 30th and October 1st. So next slide, Kris. So the CFP, the call for papers, is open for London, which means we're looking for speakers to submit talks about topics around the financial services industry and also framing those around this year's strategic initiatives, which Karl and some of our members will talk about a little later today. Our suggested topics are also outlined in the previous slide and also on the CFP page on our website. What I will say is there's less than a month to submit for London, so be quick because it does close on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, so get that into your diary. So now is also the time to sponsor OSFF, so if you're trying to get in front of decision makers, technologists, developers within the financial services industry, or generally if you're a bank looking for talent, this is a great opportunity to get your company's name out there. So in London, we plan on having around 500 people from the best in the industry between tech and finance. And in New York, we plan on having 1,000 people attending or more based on our numbers from last year, as Gav alluded to as well. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, you're on that. So registration is actually open today for London, which is super exciting. So FINOS members, some that's on the call today, get an allocation of free tickets based on their membership tier and also get discounted sponsorship as well. If you're not a member, early bird pricing ends on April 21st. And if you're thinking about becoming a FINOS member, you should have a look at our member benefits page and also have a conversation with my colleague Rimma. So I know there's a lot in those number of slides. So just to conclude with a few pointers. So OSF London, June 26th. So submit your talks, register and sponsor now. New York, September 30th and October 1st. Sponsor now and stay tuned for the CFP, the call for papers and the registration opening. And if you haven't already done so, sign up to our mailing list on our website for regular updates so you don't miss out on these opportunities. So I look forward to meeting you all at OSFF this year, and I hope to see your talks as well before March 17th. So thank you. And back to you, Karl.
Great job, Niamh.
I think Karl is going to hate me, but I need to insert a couple of things quickly. One, we have diversity scholarships, so this is something that you should apply on our website for. Secondly, London is actually during London Climate Week, so this is going to be potentially really interesting synergy with some of our sister projects at the Linux Foundation. And third, let's make this a huge event. So besides applying for speaking, if you have senior folks' ideas around regulators, executives, and folks that can be business advocates for the value of open source in the industry, please feel free to reach out at osff@finos.org. And of course, space is quite limited, but we'd love to hear your ideas. Sorry, Karl.
And next up, we go back to Gab for 10 minutes on explaining the purpose of the strategic initiatives, as well as an introduction to the ambassador program and the announcement of the AI Readiness strategic initiative, followed by various speakers on strategic initiatives.
10 minutes total, yeah?
10 minutes total.
Cool. Thank you, Karl. If you can build up this slide, then I'll try to be quick. When you run a foundation, when you are part of an open source foundation, we call ourselves chief janitors generally, because we try to align drivers, and all we can do is influence rather than manage the delivery of our projects. Of course, all of our projects are contributed by our members. And over the last years, we tried more and more to really align and share early with the community some of the key both backend initiatives, tactics that we try to employ to scale, as well as, of course, we'll talk about strategic initiatives, therefore the what our board has deemed as areas of focus for the year. So this is just to show to you something that actually has been shared with our board. Our focus this year is going to be primarily on value, continuing to delivering value and business value through our projects, not just to our members, but really to the industry at large. Big focus on scaling, and that's where we will need your help as the community becomes mature, open source ready through the training that I mentioned before. We see an opportunity to truly amplify our reach and delegate, of course, more and more the governance to our community. And then, of course, we will continue to invest in growth. Unsurprisingly, AI will be one of the key areas that we focus on this year. But what I want to say before I move to the next slide, that goes a bit more in detail, is if you think where we started a little over 5 years ago in 2018, our focus was very much in getting the industry ready to understand both why and how to do open source. I would refer to it as the sort of big tech least kept secret. I see now, especially after OSFF, with the industry being ready to collaborate from a procedural standpoint, from a policy standpoint, and with several executives across the value chain that understand the strategic value of open source, it's time to think big. Think about the type of disruption and the type of market making and open ecosystem creation that open source has done in several other industries. And I think there is a huge potential for us to seize this opportunity this year. Next slide. I'm not going to go into every single tactic that we're looking to deploy in these three sort of buckets of our focus, but I want to call out, of course, OSFF has been a huge success last year, and so as Niamh said, we're going to be doubling down on it. We're going big this year in both cities, so please make sure that you submit a talk, consider sponsoring it, and helping us with high relevance content. We are looking to scale our community through a better alignment with team and governing bodies, through mechanisms for the community to self-serve. Many of our projects are now fully run by the maintainers, both in terms of the day-by-day operations, as well as the platform that supports that through the LFX Linux Foundation platform. We want to continue to deliver, ultimately, ROI for the different areas of the business that our projects do. So if you have real-life use cases and production use cases, once again, this year at OSFF, we're doing our project expos. This is going to be a great way for you to surface those. Next slide.
And we're at 5 minutes.
Thank you. I want to call out 2 key areas where you can help us. I'm very excited to introduce, first and foremost, our FINOS Ambassador Program. If you're familiar with other communities, the Ambassador Program is a way to really empower community members to support the growth, both in a local basis and on a global platform of our community. I want to send a shout out, first and foremost, to Olivier Coupeny, part of our technical oversight committee, who will be the TOC sponsor and leader for our ambassador program. Fundamentally, this is about supporting FINOS, helping FINOS with local events like meetups, participation in our podcasts, blogs, and even external events where we get invited to so many events that a relatively small team cannot possibly represent them all. And of course, there will be swag and recognition for it. So check the QR code. Kris from our side is leading it, and we will be recruiting ambassadors over the next couple of weeks, and we hope to really use this to scale on a local basis. So if you want to organize a meetup in your city, we'll be supporting you. We'll provide a turnkey way to do, and the ambassador program is the way to be recognized for it. I talked, on the other hand, about amplifying our reach. This is something that we are absolutely thankful to all of you who do that already on a daily basis. The more the merrier. The network effect that we're seeing continues to mean that our projects and our efforts get in front of the right people through our combined network. Next slide. I decided to call out a couple of things that maybe you didn't know how you can help us scale. Contribution is not just about code. Maybe you didn't know that our community website, if you're not familiar with it, community.finos.org, really contains all of our governance, all of our procedures, is actually completely powered out of GitHub. There is an edit this page button at the end of every page. You're more than welcome to raise pull requests and help us keep it up to date. Think about a GitHub-powered wiki, effectively. Not sure how many of you know that we have a technical oversight committee. The TOC is the counterpart of the governing board as far as overseeing our project landscape. So if you are a maintainer and you are in need of help to grow your project, or you want to collaborate with another FINOS project, you're more than welcome to reach out directly to the TOC at list.finos.org. Many newcomers ask us, where do I get started? Guess what? We have over 215 good first issues and help wanted, and I'm sure the maintainers of our project will be absolutely happy to engage with you. So that's an amazing starting point if you don't know where to start. If you're not the coding type of person and you want to join a meeting, we have a FINOS calendar. And thanks to our tech team, it is now no longer based on Google Calendar. Nothing against Google Calendar. We use the Google Sheet every day, but most banks can't access it. So right now at finos.org/calendar, you can have all the meetings of FINOS in one place. And then last but not least, if you're not familiar with it, we have 2 queues. For any maintainer and contributor need help with our projects, help at finos.org. For any member that has questions around membership, member success at finos.org. These are ways in which you can really start helping us scale from an operational standpoint. Moving on.
And just noting that we're getting close to time on this.
Cool. I might have to steal a couple of minutes, man. Sorry. Not many of you might be familiar with the concept of strategic initiatives. I'm not going to go in every detail of what a strategic initiative is, but think about about 60 projects that we have in the foundation. We really need a way to focus the time of our team and some of the additional investment from our budget. That doesn't mean that every other project doesn't get sort of the BAU, business as usual support, but we certainly have a higher degree of involvement when it comes to actually leading and supporting the community in making progress when it comes to strategic initiatives. So let's go to the next slide. For this year, we have identified several strategic initiatives that we're going to go through in the next few slides. Each initiative has a person named from FINOS, has executive sponsor from our board, and has a TOC sponsor from the TOC. I want to dive into the first one, which is our new one. Surprisingly, as I said before, last year, we have explored the potential for AI collaborations in FINOS. And I'm really excited to having onboarded or about to onboard Matt White, who's going to help us to lead the initiative and have some senior executive sponsors and TOC sponsor, Colin Heberard. Many of you should be familiar with him. And if you go to the next slide, bear in mind that we will be announcing this more publicly in the next weeks. But for you to think about what does AI means in FINOS, it's really around 3 prongs. Those of you who have been following our FINOS community repository probably know already that we have a proposal for an AI readiness special interest group. And those of you who are familiar with the impact that we've had on open source readiness understand that most firms are looking to collaborate on approach, guidelines, and frameworks to really address the challenges that AI and Gen AI specifically adoption in financial services encompass. And so policy readiness is our first and foremost focus, but we also have seen massive opportunities to become the actual hub for open source, openly governed financial LLMs and datasets. And so we will be continuing to nurture external contribution, especially from the academic community that seems very interested in collaborating with us. But we wouldn't do that, and that's the third prong there. We wouldn't be doing that just for the sake of it, just because of the hype. As a vertical foundation, we start from the business challenges. And so the goal of the second stream in there is truly to identify what pre-competitive use cases actually make sense for LLMs, data sets, and tools to be collaborated upon under the FINOS auspices. A lot more to come here, and I want to stay on time. So if we go to the next slide, I have my 2 call to actions. This is for the AI's readiness sake. If you are in GitHub, make sure to check out the proposal. This is actually going for approval for the board next week. We are planning to start this for the first few months as member only to really help fund the effort and really have our members define some of the priorities. So if you're not a member, I would strongly recommend to consider joining as a member. You can do that down there at finos.org/join. And I want to thank Colin Eberhardt and the co-chair from, likely is going to become co-chair from Citi, Ian Mikulev, who are going to support in this area. Next slide, please. If you want to collaborate on the other 2 streams, so the exploration of LLM pre-competitive use cases, or you want to propose a contribution of an external project related to AI into FINOS, we have a mailing list. We're starting to collect, I think we have over 40, 50 innovators across academic, corporate, and individuals. It's open-financial-LLM at lists.finos.org. There's a typo there, my bad. But I believe if you scan the QR code, you're going to get straight to the subscribe page. Keep an eye on that list. That's where we will continue the conversation. Hopefully very exciting. I am personally very excited for this. I think we have a huge opportunity in this space. And sorry, Karl, for going a little too long.
No problem at all. And moving on to open source readiness from Brittany Istenes from Fannie Mae with 3 minutes.
All right, I'll try not to gab it up. Get it? Huh? No? Okay, it is what it is. But go ahead and skip to the slide. Hi, everyone. Brittany Istenes over from Fannie Mae. I'm one of the co-chairs for Open Source Readiness. Want to give a huge shout out to Rod Moffat, our fearless leader, as well as our executive sponsors, Readiness and Kris. We're so happy that you're supporting the work that we're doing, as well as Peter Smolovics from Morgan Stanley. I think the screen might be stuck, but I'll try to do the best that I can because we're still looking at the LLM use cases, or is that just me on my side?
I think that's just on your side.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm stuck then. One of the biggest things is we did so much in 2023 by releasing 2 courses within the LF. So that is the promoting the adoption of these training courses, financial services from the open source developer, and leading into the body of knowledge. So we want to make sure that in 2024, we expand upon the adoption of this. There was such good work that was done in 2023. So we really do want to get more folks involved because there is still work to do. We want to refine our maturity model. We want to make sure that we have firm level maturity measures, and we want to adopt different ways to approach these different things. We want to ensure that we have a maturity assessment product, which allows firms to provide evidence that their maturity levels are valid and able to obtain a FINOS badge, because that's really important when we're working in open source. We have to make sure that the work that we are doing is of the utmost standard and aligned with all of the best practices. And a lot of the best practices are being developed in the OSR. We want to ensure that we have regulatory approval. And honestly, within 2024, we do have a stretch goal of publishing our body of knowledge externally, which is exciting. There's lots of different ways to get involved. And one of the big things that I'm excited about too is that we really are incorporating, we're out scratching the surface of inner source, of the principles of inner source and how they apply into open source readiness. So for those folks that want to learn more, because many times in financial services, we do get blocked from going back out into the open, as well as really understanding the regulatory pieces and governance. So we just kindly ask you to get involved and then click that link to find us on the calendar and come join us. And I think I made it in time.
Absolutely perfect and excellent timing. Up next, we have for FTC, we have Kris West from interop.io.
Hi there, everyone. I'm standing in for Rob Moffat, who's the FINOS lead, also for this project. And if you're here, you probably have already heard of FTC3. It's the open standard for applications on financial desktops to interoperate and exchange data with each other on the front end. And there are lots of reasons to get involved in it at the moment. We're working on some exciting new things that will increase the total addressable market and addressable use cases for FTC3. For example, we are working on bringing FTC3 to web browsers, where traditionally it's been used heavily in containers, but we're bringing it to web browsers in such a way that it will securely allow you to connect to different desktop agents. So you can write your FTC3 applications once and run them anywhere under any desktop agent, which will mean lots of platforms can be brought directly to the web. We're also building on concepts of identity, specifically authentication and authorization in FTC3. So identifying not just users, but also applications and desktop agents, which will enable deeper integrations between them and help to support some of the buy-side and sell-side integration use cases, including what we saw from Wellington and Morgan Stanley at OSFF. FTC3 project has always been about trying to enable these, and improving our concepts of identity will mean we can do them more securely and without the need to resort to proprietary APIs or more complex third-party processes or complex custom solutions for securing the integrations, hoping to bring all that into the standard. We're also working on standardizing bindings for FTC3 in other languages. Morgan Stanley very kindly contributed their C# bindings and tooling around them for working with FTC3 contexts. We're also very keen to introduce Java and Python bindings in the near future. So FTC3 is intended to support not just JavaScript, but all sort of programming languages that are used on the financial services desktop. With that, I think that's me covered.
All right, excellent timing. Many seconds to go. For Common Cloud Controls, we have Chanel Crawford from Citi.
All right, good day, everyone. Thank you, Karl. My name is Chanel Crawford. I am the PM for the Common Cloud Controls Initiative. FINOS Rob Moffett is headed from FINOS, and he's doing an amazing job at coordinating the collaboration and leading the initiative in a very short amount of time. It's a big initiative, and we'll have a huge impact on not only the companies associated with bringing it to market, but the financial services industry in its entirety. Give you a quick description. FINOS Common Cloud Controls is an open standard project originally proposed by Citi and currently incubating in the FINOS environment. It's created to describe consistent controls for compliant public cloud deployments in the financial services sector. CCC follows a shared responsibility model, meaning both the CSPs and the financial service industry share the responsibility in making sure that we meet the security, resilience, and operational needs to remain compliant with our existing risk management principles. AWS describes this segregation of responsibilities like the CSPs are responsible for the security of the cloud and the FSIs are responsible for the security in the cloud. The CCC standard strives to be the foundation for that going forward. But in order to do this the right way, we need input from subject matter experts across the community. We all have some type of expertise that could be fundamental to the success and implementation of the standard. So why would you get involved now? In 2023 Q4, we saw an increased interest in the project, and we're definitely seeing that going forward in 2024. Working groups are being developed, and it would be amazing to have input from different perspectives in the community. It's absolutely necessary for the different perspectives to be added. And the steering committee was also established in December, and it's being led by Mr. Jim Adams, who is currently sitting chair. And we're expecting to expand that leadership as well this year. So if you're interested in that would be amazing as well. Also, collaboration with the cloud service providers is paramount. We need that a lot, and to adopt the standard. And when we adopt the standard, that'll also include the testing and certification planning, right? If you're interested in helping us get this off the ground, please reach out to Rob Moffett, and he will get you started. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Next, we have Kris Rayner to give an update on CDM from ISLA.
Great, thanks very much, Karl. So, as you can see here, lots going on with the CDM as usual. I think there's 4 big things to mention that sort of happened in the last quarter. First thing is in January, ISLA ourselves actually sponsored and ran a workshop. The idea behind the workshop was to create a JSON schema representation of the CDM, which had been requested by several people. It was a fantastic event. We were really grateful that we got the dynamic duo from Regnosis, Minesh and Hugo, to come and help us, which was great. We also had great support from ISDA as well coming through. So it was really inspiring actually to see the support from the community that we had around this workshop. And we achieved the end result as well, which is even better. We actually managed to create the JSON schema representation in just the 2 days that we had. It's been fully contributed back to the model as well. So all future releases will have this schema representation available. Kudos to everyone involved. I think it went really well. Moving on, we've actually done something. ISDA have moved their derivatives product and business event working group to FINOS as well now, affectionately known as the DPBE, which is a nice acronym. And this is an excellent move because it's opening up that working group to the entire community and bringing people from the ISDA membership to FINOS as well. So I think, as you can see from the stats in the top right hand corner of the slide there, if you look at the light blue, you can see we've got the DPB have great attendance, really good number of people joining the meetings, really good set of members actually now coming through. Always open to having more people though, so if you want to come and join in, there's always space. And we've also got next week, we've got the flagship event for the CDM, the showcase. And last year we ran it and the venue had space for 100 people. and it's sold out. This year, we managed to secure a venue which has got 180. That's also sold out, and we've got 30 people on the waiting list. So a lot of interest in this project, a lot of interest in the scope that we're pushing forward and the day that we've got organized. We've also doubled the number of sponsors, which is interesting. So it's obvious that there's a lot of organizations who are keen to get involved in this area too, not just people wanting to actually come along and review what we're working on, people actually there to come forward and get involved too. Really inspiring stuff. Behind the scenes, we've not just been running events, we've actually been doing a lot of work, a lot of updates to the CDM. There's a minor release due in the next week as well. You may remember at the end of last year, CDM version 5 was released, so we're doing a minor release 5.6. So as you can see, 6 minor releases over the last couple of months. So a lot of work getting done behind the scenes there. Always, as I say, always happy to have more people join in. So you can see the new community calendar is sorted. Please do come along and join in. Thank you, Karl.
All right, great. And following up with Jane Gavronsky from FINOS with an update on the Regtech Council.
Thanks, Karl. Hi, everyone. We've talked about our Open Regtech initiative several times, and we see a lot of potential for firms to get involved and collaborate to design reference architectures and reference solutions in the open together for regulatory compliance and, frankly, for regulatory innovation. Regulation compliance and is something that is a mandate for everyone, every firm. And there are a lot of actually Regtechs who provide services in this space. So this is a very active community that stands directly to benefit from working together and bringing the best ideas into the open so that they're available for everyone, and time and effort can be reduced in order to implement the best solutions possible. So in the past, we've talked about an ESG hackathon that we've done. We've talked about roundtables that we've held to get input from the industry as to what is of most importance, of highest attention for our members today. And on the basis of that input, we are currently standing up projects around ESG data standardization and also post-trade reporting, as well as pre-trade reporting. And we would love for you guys to get involved and tell us exactly how you see things, to learn what we have in terms of reference projects which are already available, projects such as the CDMs, projects such as More Fear, which can be used to create those reference blueprint implementations. Like I said, please reach out to us and let us know how you'd like to get involved. And we'd love your support to stand up these projects. Thanks, Karl.
All right, excellent. With a minute to spare. So next we have Rimma from FINOS giving an update on DEI initiatives.
Thanks so much, Karl. It's great to be here, and it's great to see that DEI has become a strategic initiative for FINOS. We have very dedicated executive sponsors in Ridian Olds from Citi and Kim Prado from BMO. As well, I'd like to thank Bika Nelka from Citi and Rita Chaturvedi from Morgan Stanley, who have been co-chairs for the project, as well as Peter Shmulevich, and all are really amazing champions for this important work. So to kick off, over the last 2 years, we've been very much focused on building out Big Boost Mondays as a way to bring together the DEI community and look to advance inclusion and also education and opportunities to ensure that DEI becomes a cornerstone for all companies working in financial services open source. A big shout out to Mike Wilson, who's really been at the forefront of this on behalf of Zingli. And I'm excited to share with you, as you've probably seen, we have big global rollout for International Women's Day on March 4th, taking place in Dublin, Montreal, New York, and even APAC. Many thanks to all the supporters for putting together this massive effort, and I hope you'll join us on this journey. Next slide, please. The opportunity before us is very great. What we want to do in 2024, now 2 years into the initiative, is really deepen the breadth and impact of the initiative such that it really becomes part of FINOS and our community's DNA and creates not only a legacy, but also a way for all of you to really grow a diverse talent pool that becomes the norm in your companies. And this is a big ambition. And already I'm asking you guys to join us on this journey. We really are looking to up the ante. And with this new kind of phase, we are looking for bringing on board volunteers who can help harness the various opportunities before us, as well working with very engaged SIG leads who can dedicate time to advancing some of the goals of this important initiative. That includes being able to nurture a talent pipeline. It includes looking at ensuring that our events are inclusive, and as are FINOS projects. We have a list of opportunities that we are prioritizing within this SIG that we just introduced at the last meeting. And already we are well on our way on 2 of these opportunities. Thanks to the amazing Paul, we have a plan that we're advancing on having a FINOS delegation and presence at the Grace Hopper celebration. Equally, we are going to ensure that there's alignment of our accessibility project to drive inclusivity in our work. But there's more yet, and we're really keen to engage your company's DEI experts so we get the right guidance, and also look to develop best practices and not reinvent the wheel. And last but not least, there are programs of upskilling and talent development that we'd love to work with you on in the year ahead and beyond, such that this SIG really becomes a cornerstone for your DEI work. On March 4th, we have our next SIG meeting, and this is a very loud CTA to please join the call, get in touch such that we can work with you to make sure that the DEI SIG really advances and achieves on its full potential. Thanks. Over to you, Karl.
Great. And a big thank you to and finally to Keith O'Donnell from Feynic to give us an update on.
Hi, thank you, everyone. If we could jump onto the slide, please, Karl. So at Zenith, we are the sort of research and development part of FINOS, looking at emerging technology trends. What we are intended to do as part of our strategic initiative is to really start to evaluate the horizon, the problems that we've got to face tomorrow. As you've seen, we've been mentioned on a couple of the slides previously, such as the AI initiative, where we've been seeding a number of the projects that are going to help us to get up and running there. So these are foundational projects, the exploratory projects that every single FINOS member or person within the fintech industry is going to have to address at some point. And that's really why we set up the SIG. In terms of what we're doing in 2024 and why we feel you should be getting involved is really to keep on top of these emerging technology trends. Our team does our best to be able to bring these forward, but it's always good to be able to share the insights that we see from within the FINOS membership, and also to have opportunities to discuss in a Chatham House style environment within our Brain Trust meetings, different thoughts, questions, and share some of those information between each other. We also have a number of projects that we've got running, which you'll have seen from the AI slides earlier on, but we're also looking into enabling FINOS members to experiment around with Web3 sandboxes and so forth. We have 5 projects on the go at the moment, but we're always looking for more, and we're always looking for strategic direction that FINOS members really want to take emerging technologies of tomorrow as we're exploring them today. We also want to be able to enhance our primers. So if you go on to zenith.finos.org, you'll be able to see some of the getting started guides for some of these technologies that we're always looking to expand. And as we keep this an open source, we're always looking for more contributors to share their insights and inputs into these primers so that we can keep them as relevant and up to date as possible. And lastly, we're starting to pull in a lot of dynamic talent as we explore these things. As you can imagine, this is something that's quite interesting for young technologists out in the industry coming in. And this is something that we're actively looking to encourage much more collaboration between not only FINOS members who are more in a governance role, but some of those distinguished engineers and hot talent that we have within each of our organizations being able to work on exciting new collaborative projects. If you would like to know more, we would invite you to join our list. So that is Zenith Plus subscribe at list.finos.org. That's a clickable link that I've got on the slide. If you subscribe to that, you'll get updates and invitations to our SIG meetings. You can find out more on the website, which is zenith.finos.org. And as ever, if you've got any questions, queries, or ideas that you would like to explore, please feel free to reach out to me myself. Thanks very much. Back to you, Karl.
And thank you to all the presenters for the strategic initiatives for keeping so closely to the schedule. Big shout out to everyone. Big round of applause on that. Moving on to our final announcements from Jane and Kendall.
Hi, yes, I will be very quick. So right now, if you're a gold member, we just kicked off the gold representative election. Call for nominations is now open and will be open until February 26th. So if you're interested of nominating someone for the election, please send your nomination to the gold mailing list. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to membersuccess@finos.org. And then we also have OSFF London, June 26th. And then in June 2024, we'll have the TALK election, which will have 5 community selected TOC member seats will be up for election. So more information and timeline for that to come. And then OSSF in New York. And then lastly, in November, we'll be holding another gold representative election where we'll have 3 seats available. So more information coming there.
All right, a big thank you from Kendall on that. And we're getting to the top of the hour, so we ate into the time that we were hoping to for Q&A, but we will be keeping the call open for those of you who can stick around. For those of you who can't, just a big promise that next time we'll be even more focused on keeping a rigorous schedule. So check out for those updates going forward. But now we'd like to open the floor to Q&A from the community.